Hello Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. This is going to be a November monthly tarot reading geared more specifically towards rising signs. So highly recommend that in addition to your sun sign, you're probably Aquarius if you showed up to this video, figure out what your rising sign is. Go to astrocharts.com. It'll generate for you whatever is the ruler of your first house. That is your rising sign. That might be more accurate and more thought-provoking in terms of the readings that I'm doing for the month of November. So welcome you to check that out. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is, of course, optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. All that being said, let's set the intention to have some fun and get you some helpful, clear, insightful messages. All right. To my 3 Aquarians who are going to watch this video, I appreciate you. I think Aquarius is my lowest viewer, at least currently, which is so weird. I love my Aquarians. But anyway, here we go. All right. So showing up in kind of your first house of identity and how you're presenting yourself, your kind of mirror or view into the world this coming month is the Page of Wands. So there's an adventurous and eager spirit about you, but there's also this idea that there's probably a big undertaking. I always note that like the Page of Wands is looking up, and so I almost symbolically see this like there's a mountain ahead of me I gotta climb, but the Page of Wands is probably the most eager and excited and ambitious and optimistic about that challenge. It's not so much this dread of, oh my God, I have this to do and how am I going to do it? And it's not that nervous worrying energy. It's like, oh my God, this could be so fun. And it really is a card just of fun, of playfulness. You know, in a relationship message, it's kind of about flirting and being warm and sharing parts of yourself and being very excited and inspired by others around you. So anyway, so there's that. Let's see. But there may, with Saturn kind of in your second house of money, that is going to pose some challenges, especially in Sagittarius season. Not challenges that are necessarily things you need to dread, but just the idea of having a lot of responsibility with the Ten of Wands and maybe not being able to enjoy friendships or see friends as much as you would like. Your money may inhibit your ability to join groups or attend classes. And again, it's not for the long term, right? But there is sort of restrictions, especially with money right now and your finances and financial commitments. Anytime Saturn is in a certain position in our chart, it grants us the opportunity to increase our skill level in how we interact with that area of life. So for you, money, finances, also self-value and self-worth. And sort of by the end of the Saturn transit, which, you know, spends a good amount of time in each sign, I think it's like 2 years or 2.5 years. By the end of that time, you're going to become the master. It's going to be like a total transformation in terms of your capabilities and kind of knowledge in that area. So if it doesn't have to do with money inhibiting your ability to go after, again, 11th house stuff, long-term goals and wishes may be sidelined or sidetracked because of just current work responsibilities or financial obligations. It could also have to do with sort of this critical self-judgment of yourself or your body or just who you are, the value that you offer to the world. Saturn is going to make you question that for a very good reason, ultimately to build your confidence. But kind of that initial Saturn energy can be a little bit challenging. And especially maybe when you compare yourself to others in your field that are doing it, you know, at some sort of level where you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I aspire to be. But with that, you may kind of sink into the heaviness of Saturn of like, I'm never going to get there. Like, I see all these people around me succeeding and why am I not? That's kind of that Saturn energy lying to you in terms of like the negative side of it. Really, it's the opportunity for you to be like, see that? Like, that's what I want to do. That is hashtag goals, right? So I'm going to build it. I'm going to do it myself. I am going to be a good self-advocate for myself. I'm going to go out and learn it. I'm going to achieve it. I'm going to connect with mentors. I am going to build my dream life, essentially. So Saturn does serve us in a very important way, but it's not always the easiest energy to deal with because it forces us out of our comfort zone. It forces us to grow. And it does require a seriousness, right? Responsibility. I often hear people say, you know, you have to respond to your ability to do something, right? So responsibility is a huge word connected with Saturn. And with the Ten of Wands here showing up for the tarot card, yeah, it does indicate like heavy duties, heavy responsibility, which ironically, you know, opposing the Star card, which is your card, It is a card of kind of 11th house stuff, Aquarian energy, long-term dreams and wishes, group dynamics, kind of like that linking, that connection to other things and other places and other people. It's not that you can't spend time focusing on your dreams, but something in the month of November may have to be put on the back burner. You may not be able to go after that thing you thought because, again, money restrictions or something is kind of pulling you back. So you do have a new moon happening in your 10th house of career. So there could quite literally be a new start in your career. You could start a new job, or it could just be taking on something new in your work field. Maybe you have a new boss coming in. Maybe someone is going to sort of transform the quote unquote office. You know what I mean? The workspace, the environment. Maybe the technology is going to be changed up. And with that, maybe your day-to-day daily responsibilities, there is going to be some sort of new implementation of tools and ideas, or how you move forward in some sort of job. You do have a very nice card coming up in your health and wellness. You have the Sun card, but also kind of your daily routine, your regiments, your connection to your body and your health is the Sun card. So I'd say it's one of the happiest, most beautiful blessing cards of the tarot. There could be a Leo in your workspace that you're connecting with, that maybe you guys have a lot of creative ideas together, or you just simply enjoy their company, right? With the planets kind of in Scorpio, they're going to be trining anything you may have in Cancer. So making a harmony, offering some sort of beautiful blessing and support, again, possibly through a coworker that's a Leo, or for those who work with children for their career, that just seems like it's going to be a really nice, enjoyable time for you. Let's see. So then we're going to have this crazy transit. Actually, before I move on to that, I do want to address the Five of Cups, because I think that's important as well. So with this new start, the Five of Cups says ultimately you are going to have to cut your losses in some area. The idea of, crying over spilt milk, or what I call the total eclipse of the heart. The Five of Cups says, yes, something here is lost and we're not going to get it back, but there's huge things to be gained here. It's not this all is lost. It's all a matter of perspective. So with this, there's almost like, and I am talking more about your career, there is this need to grieve the losses and sort of come to terms with, okay, this was good and I enjoyed it. But honestly, like the bigger perspective is, was I relying on it too much? It's, the universe is essentially telling you it's not necessary. You don't need it anymore. Or if you have two jobs and one stream of income is sort of cut off unexpectedly, it's the idea that it was never meant for you. So there is this cathartic release, especially in Scorpio energy. It's a Scorpio card. Things are changing and transforming, especially in your money flow, your income stream, or streams of income rather. The Two of Cups remain here though, so not all is lost. There's something very beneficial for you to gain by allowing something to organically exit your life. There could be cuts and severing with Mars kind of headed through that area. So maybe some of your responsibilities are cut or reallocated or redistributed, and maybe it puts you in a different financial bracket, or I'm not necessarily saying you get like a paid deduction, but it could be something similar to that, where something is taken away and now it's like, oh my gosh, this changes everything, or this changes a lot. Do have faith that the Two of Cups are going to come through with you, because it could be that another offer is on the way, or that this is forcing you with that Saturn energy to break out of your daily systems, or I'm sorry, that's not the way to phrase it. Break out of sort of your daily commitments to work and realize, wow, I was actually pretty unhappy doing it, but it became so regular and routine for me that I just kind of accepted it. It's almost like settling. And I think the universe is trying to wake you up and have you achieve more, go after more that not only will benefit your bank account, but also your joy and happiness and the value of your life, essentially. Going after things that you see as worthy and exciting and worth the long haul. All right. So we are going to talk about an interesting thing that happened in the sky around November 10th, November 11th-ish. Mars is going to oppose Uranus, so very much associated with Aquarian energy. So there's this idea of the single, the individual, the independence versus the group. Uranus is a planet that very much wants to rebel and reform and change up and shake up and wake up people, but it does it very chaotically, very sporadically, very unexpectedly. It does also have to do with technology. I'm just putting that out there. And then Mars it's very hot, it's very fast, it's very independent, it's very passionate, but it can be very hot-headed and kind of like a loose wire. So when these two come together, it can quite literally be, well, I shouldn't say literally. It can metaphorically be an explosion of some kind. And because that's happening in your 10th house of career, and also your 4th house, it can be of home, family, but it's almost represented here more to me as like public life and private life. There could be some very, I don't know, I'm almost thinking for you, Aquarius rising, internally there might be this desperate need to shake things up and do things differently. And there may be some sort of pressure that is put on you at work, or, delegation of responsibilities. And maybe you get hit with, a new job title or a new job description that you didn't necessarily ask for or sign off for, but it's essentially being, pushed onto you. And so this could very much result in some sort of argument or some sort of quarrel or confrontation. Maybe it's with a boss. And especially with the 5 of Pentacles coming through here, I have to be honest, I do see it as some sort of loss of money or resources. And maybe it's not entirely, but I'll say this. Both people suffer from this in a sense. If you don't come into it with an open mind and a higher vibrational energy, we're both stuck in the 5s. So some person is more, they're more, emotionally, I'm wanting to use the word fixed, but it's like they are tied to a certain emotional outcome. Thank you, Spirit. That's what I was trying to say. Versus the other person, they're just thinking with dollar signs in their eyes. So I'm not sure who's who, but I have a feeling, you have emotional investments in your life, in your family, and the people you take care of. And, the bills you pay allow you to live your life in a certain way, right? So it could be kind of what you view as kind of this money hungry, I'm losing all my words today. Endeavor, there's a better word for it, that ultimately like your place of business is making all these great changes and it's going to be good and yada, yada, yada. But you're kind of like, I see through this BS. Like you're trying to cut corners. You're trying to save money. You're taking away from people's salary. You're cutting my hours. And so there may be a departure. I'm just going to say it. But here's the thing. I think if you really reflect on this moon energy and be really honest with yourself, this may be planting the seeds for you to make a departure that was long overdue or a long time coming. Of course you have choice. Of course you have agency, right? This isn't predicted in terms of absolutes, but this is energy that may come into your realm. And so being aware of it, you can be like, okay, if something is, provoking me and I don't agree with it, how am I going to respond more thoughtfully versus kind of jumping down someone's throat or saying some really harsh words or saying things that I'm going to come to regret later. I do see disappointments in money, but hang tight because we are going to get to like some other cool stuff here too. I think what they're offering you is sort of this disguised way of, it's like what they're presenting. They're telling you, oh, this is going to be so great. It's going to be so wonderful. Everyone's going to love this, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's like you see through it. You're like, this is good for you. This isn't good for me. So stop pretending that you're giving me some gift by doing this. That's the energy I'm getting from this. And this, guys, this very likely has to do with a boss. This very likely has to do with a boss with the Emperor coming up here. So that being said, interestingly enough, let's go here because Venus is going to be making a transit to your 9th house. So good news, guys. Venus transits bring good energy and blessings. They bring ease. They bring harmony. There's the desire to connect when Venus transits certain parts of our chart. So here, it's seeking pleasure in topics like education, possibly higher education, as well as connecting to people who may be involved in your life as some sort of, I don't know if it's going to be spiritual, but like mentor or teacher figures. It's also a beautiful time to go on a trip and really enjoy it. Take a break, take a vacation. For some of you, there may inevitably be a break, but to me, it's saying, take advantage of that, right? If your hours get cut, whether you're happy about it or not, maybe that's a good time for you to get away and kind of seek out areas in life that you can just kind of like inhale and exhale and kind of get a greater perspective. Again, on value is such an important word in Venus. Yes, our money, but also Are we with people who value us? Do we see value in the relationships and environments around us? If not, it's time to release something and let it go. So for a good amount of you as well, you may choose to leave a job on your own accord, but it's because you're being pushed up against a wall. It's because you're being pushed into a position that is, it's kind of, I don't know if it's uncomfortable or it just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem just, which is really interesting that you have the Queen of Swords coming up in partnership, which, yes, she's ruled by Venus, so there is this sort of need to comfort and nurture and connect, but she holds a sword for a reason, right? There's a reason for her to hold that, and then ultimately, anytime we see a sword, there is the ability to cut and sever and break off some sort of link or connection. What's interesting is I see this Page of Cups in the middle of your spread as this sort of, again, fluffed up kind of, there's a good word for it. It's not coming to me, but almost like this peacocking of an opportunity of oh, it's going to be so great and X amount of salary and hours. And yes, it's different, but you're going to enjoy it. You're not having it. Again, you see right through it. You're like, this is going to make my life a living hell. This is adding more responsibility and less pay, whatever it is. There's something about it where you're just kind of like, F no, absolutely not. And so I think you're the one, with your back turned to this mediocre at best offer, you're just like, yeah, no. It's like, she raises her hand and I always think she's welcoming in the next thing, yes, come on, what do you got? So, this could also be room for negotiation. Just because they make you this offer or tell you that this is what they want you to do moving forward, you can be like, that doesn't work for me. So we have to retool this. We have to rethink it. We have to make this some sort of more equally distributed or a better negotiation so that we're both happy. You have no reason not to try that approach, right? If you're not ready to leave this entirely or pull out or pull away. But I do think that ultimately this is setting you up to become more in alignment with your goals. Whatever this Saturn energy is trying to achieve in your money, or again, sort of upping your worth and value and how you see yourself and how you allow yourself to be treated by other people, especially networks and communities of people. I think this is actually sort of I'm literally seeing it like the needle of a compass kind of spinning. I think this is getting you to think about the long term and the bigger picture of where do I really want to be? And I almost feel like this interaction at work or with a boss or whatever this is really shows someone's true colors, where you immediately become aware with absolute transparency that you're just a number to them. And I think this sounds so dark, but I do like the empowerment behind it. It's like, they showed you everything you need to know from this interaction. So this, I don't know, I think this new moon is essentially, I'm not saying you're going to leave at it by any means, but I think this is planting the seeds for you to make an escape route or seek an exit of some kind when you're ready to, of course, right? It's not always the Cinderella story where we feel wronged and we just leave the next day. I get that, but with Uranus energy, it can be unpredictable. It can really shake you up and wake other people up to how they're treating others, whether it's just or unjustly. So, by nature, you bring that Uranus energy with you, Aquarius. So interesting, very interesting. I do like Venus moving through your ninth, though. Go take a little trip if you can afford to. And maybe it's more, I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but the idea of a mental vacation. So maybe it's immersing yourself in good films, in some sort of media that you enjoy, reading books, doing something creative, but not just that, learning about it, upping your skill for pleasure. It doesn't necessarily have to be for money, though the opportunity for that is definitely there. Yes, some of you may enroll in some sort of course or group or a lesson, or I'm almost even getting the idea of I don't know if it's a gym membership, but something like, taking a yoga class, something that's good for your body. Venus is very much tied to our body. And maybe it's more aesthetically driven. Again, maybe it's more creative. Maybe it's colorful. Maybe it's texture based. That, those are all Venus things. But in the ninth house, you may connect with, again, a mentor or someone who is sort of, it could be a guru of sorts. Be careful with that, be cautious. You may develop a crush on your teacher, right? There could be some energy of oh my God, swooning over that person because you value the wisdom that they have to share with you. You may also connect with someone who's going to help you in some sort of legal situation. It doesn't have to be a bad one, but the idea of connecting with maybe a lawyer or, again, someone giving advice, a legal team to help you through some sort of, whatever, court case or legal issue, situation, whatever it is. Venus is going to be a blessing for you there, but when it does conjunct the South Node, there is a need to release and let go of something that isn't for your highest good. Okay. So let's see. I do feel like you're going to connect with a mentor. Again, this idea of looking up to someone, it's very much coming through an Emperor energy. So there might be a new boss that you actually really jive with and really connect with. Maybe that's what this new moon is. Maybe there's a new start because the workplace totally changes because a new boss is brought in or new management or, a new CEO, whatever it is. This sounds so corporate. I know all of you don't work in corporate, but that's the energy, the idea of it. Connecting with some sort of mentor, possibly a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, who completely changes your world. It's like you start to see things from a different perspective, and it's like, how did I not know about this before? And I don't mean to oversell it, but with this kind of, eventually Venus is going to trine Pluto, and it's going to be this kind of amazing, transformative connection and relationship, this very deep, I will say passionate, even if it's not romantic, where it's just like someone ignites this fire in you to go after this thing that you never knew you needed. But all of a sudden it's like you're hungry for it and you're craving for it, and this person is like, go. It's like, go, my child. I really like that energy, so be open to receiving wisdom and insights from those around you. And it doesn't literally have to be a teacher, guys. You know that, right? But it's this symbolic idea of someone is guiding you, someone coming through in a mentor-like capacity or mentor-like role. So in your 12th house, you have the Queen of Wands showing up. So again, something with authority is really triggering and challenging, but there is something that you maybe don't necessarily see coming with a boss figure. I also think this is metaphorically the idea of, the 12th house can be our own sort of shadow self or our self-undoing, and coming at people with sort of this hot, fiery temper, which the Queen of Wands can very much have. I'll be honest, male or female, the Queen of Wands can be kind of bitchy energy. Versus approaching things in a more tactful, diplomatic, well-spoken way. I'm not sure which is right here. I think it's a balance of both, because ultimately you don't want to hold your tongue. You don't want to lean into sort of this toxic positivity or people pleasing, which I don't really have to tell you anyway, Aquarius. You pretty much say it like it is. But your temper, and I just have to be honest, your temper may get the better of you, and you may reflect back on something and be like, ooh, I wish I had said that a little bit differently. Or I wish I had taken a moment to check in with myself and my emotions before I approach that person with this kind of guns ablazing thing. It does very much feel like going up against an authority figure or someone who holds more status or more power than you, and fighting for the little guy, fighting for yourself. So I applaud you for that, but it doesn't always necessarily end in the way you had envisioned it. That being said, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, this fire energy of positivity and enthusiasm, and yes, I have a mountain to climb, but I'm going to do it, and I know I'm capable of it. You're in a good position in terms of your ability to persevere. That's a good word for it. To carry on, to be like, well, you win some, you lose some, and I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm going to move on to bigger and better things, and you're right to. So there, in Sagittarius season, again, there is going to be frustrations and delays, possibly because of money and not feeling like you can go see friends or hang out with your people, or having to put long-term wishes and goals on delay or pause to deal with more important issues, right? We did talk about that a great deal. In terms of relationships and dating, I feel like you have your eye on an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, who they're kind of on and off. It's like some days they feel like they're flirting with you, and other days you're kind of left guessing. I feel like you're not being super, what's the word? Aggressive in like texting them and calling them and all that. And I think you're right too. I think you kind of have to let this person come to you a little bit, but not if you're suffering in silence. And if you're constantly thinking about them and, oh my gosh, where do I stand? And I'm worried, then you should probably get a little bit more clarity. But I don't know. I think this person is a little bit, I think you're right. I think they're a little bit on and off. I don't necessarily know that they have their sights on other people. I think they're very lukewarm about getting involved right now with someone. But it seems like when you meet up, there is kind of this fun banter and back and forth, and you make something about clothing. You I don't know. I'm getting the idea of some connection on clothing or costuming or fashion design or a logo or like a brand of sneakers that you both really like. There was some sort of funny circumstance about clothing or a funny story that you guys were just, I don't know. It felt very cute, right? It felt very like rom-com. I don't know, whatever that is. What's interesting though, in your house of dating, you have an Ace of Cups. So I actually think this is going to transpire for you as a new prospect for those who are single and looking, or in a relationship that's just kind of like meh, whatever, like you're kind of half in, half out. I think you're going to go towards something new. I'm like 99% sure that's what's coming in. You are going to have a full moon in your 5th house of dating, so something reaching a final culmination or being able to see something with more clarity. This could involve your dating life. This could also involve your hobbies, what you do for fun, playing games, anything that you do for pleasure and enjoyment. There could be a new start, taking up some sort of hobby, something maybe with music or the arts with the Ace of Cups. It could be a new start in dating. It could also be something involving your child as well. I actually see this very much as a cathartic release for a parent-child dynamic. There could be someone asking for you to be more open emotionally to them. Whether you are the parent or you are the child, there is kind of, I feel like someone is finally able to express that what they need from you is a little bit more emotional involvement or a little bit more emotional sensitivity with this Knight of Pentacles. It's earth energy, it's Mercury ruled, and that's sort of what's going up against this. So it can be very work oriented, more nose to the grindstone, checklist, get it done, kind of like, do you know what I mean? Not necessarily considering the emotions or the feelings. And I'm not sure which is which, Aquarius. This may be you asking a parent for someone to take more of an emotional approach to your relationship, but it could go vice versa, right? It could be, especially a child reaching out to you saying, like, I respect that you're there for me as a support system, but sometimes, like, I just need to be able to share how I'm feeling and not be, I don't know if it's judged or criticized, or maybe it could even be this idea of, I don't need you to solve my problems. I don't need you to be solution oriented. I just need you to like be there and hold space for me while I express this thing I'm going through. I do sort of get with that full moon something about a parent-child dynamic of needing to express oneself more deeply and feeling like they're in a safe place to do so. For some of you, your children may be starting kindergarten or for a select few, you may be going off to college. That could even be Venus in the 9th of you putting money towards their education. But yeah, I'm almost getting kind of like baby steps, like younger children, something involving in the school system. You may be helping to put on some sort of play or production for your child and doing something artistic, the set design, maybe you're helping to, I don't know, write a script. I don't know, something with your child and then like a performance type energy. I think that's going to be really enjoyable. I think you're going to be tremendously proud of your kid. I think you are going to see a side of them that you never saw before. And so you may have a child who's very artistic or creative or a painter, a potter, a poet, something of the sort. I actually really like that. You see your child in a new light and in ways that you didn't see them before. Again, if you don't have children, that may resonate for you in terms of either dating or something involving your own parent. Let's see. I actually do like these cards, possibly connecting with a Leo or a Cancer or more so a Libra. I like that energy. There's enjoyment. There's a lot of playful energy. There's enthusiasm. I'm literally getting you. You may go horseback riding with this person, or someone may own a horse or own a lot of animals, live on a property that's almost like a farm or something about that. It's like going to see animals. Maybe you go to the zoo. And what's interesting actually is this is your 6th house of like pets too. So I don't know, for a very select few of you, you may end up getting a new, I'm going to say this, like more exotic pet. Or if it's not exotic, it's not your everyday, like, cat, fish, dog, bird. It's something like I got an iguana or, I got a llama or a donkey. I'm almost getting something with farm animals. So maybe someone grew up on a farm. I know that's not all of you, but like for a select few, that's just like a confirmation message. And that may or may not have to do with your partner's work life or something of the sort. All right, Aquarius, I think that's what I got for you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.